This is a recipe for a simple pork chop with pan sauce, but I could have called it How to Sear and Sauce Anything. Getting down this basic pan sauce technique revolutionized my weeknight meals. This is going to take 20 minutes start to finish. First thing I do is chop up a shallot for the sauce. You could maybe do this while you're searing your pork chops, but I tend to forget to do it if I wait, or maybe it just stresses me out to do it while I'm minding the meat, so I just do it beforehand. Shallots are so good for pan sauces. You'll see why in a sec. All right, pan for the pork chops goes on medium heat. I might turn that up later. Here's a little pot of water for steaming the broccoli, and here's one of those little steamer basket thingies that adjusts to pans of many sizes. That goes in, lid goes on, and that is on high heat. Here's a couple of pork chops. I like bone in, but whatever is fine. A little olive oil, pepper, and salt. Get them coated, then in the hot pan. Here's some broccoli, and I find the easiest way to cut this into florets is to turn it upside down and just cut downward to trim off the florets, working your way around and progressively inward. And then I just cut up most of them into half or thirds. And I love the stalk. I don't waste it. I just start at the top and cut it into thin slices until the slices start to look really woody, then I stop. The stalk slices need a head start, so I throw those in the steamer first for like a minute. I'm going to turn up the heat on that pork a little bit. Then the rest of the broccoli goes in. When you're planning to make a pan sauce, I think that you want to be conservative with the heat because if any of the fond in the pan burns, that's going to spoil the sauce. That's why pork is such a great meat for making a pan sauce because you usually want to cook pork a little slower than you would cook steak. To get a good sear on a steak, you almost have to burn the fond. All right, broccoli is done when you can push a fork through it. I like it to still be a little crunchy, so I want to feel some resistance on that fork. This still needs a little more time. I'm looking for 145 degrees Fahrenheit in these pork chops, or maybe a little bit more since they're bone in. The part around the bone tends to be really underdone if you pull it at 145. Broccoli is done, and I'll just lift the steamer basket out with my tongs and dump the water out of that pot. Bring the empty pot back, melt in some butter. Garlic is good at this stage too, I was just too lazy to chop it up. Broccoli goes in with a pinch of salt, and then I'll set that off the heat to stay warm. Chops are done. I'll set them aside to rest while I make my pan sauce. Beautiful fond, or what the Brits unappetizingly refer to as sediment, like we're in a sewage treatment plant or something. Ugh. Shallots go in at this stage, and because the shallot layers are so much thinner than onion layers, these little things just cook in like 30 seconds. This will give much needed sweetness and pungency to the sauce. Then it's time to deglaze with any flavorful liquid that you want, but I think something sweet and sour is best. You could use fruit juice, but of course I'm going to use some white wine, and scrape off all of the fond with a wooden spoon. I do think pan sauces tend to be too strong if you don't also use some water, so I'm doing basically half wine, half water. I'll cook that for 2 or 3 minutes to extract flavor from the shallots and mellow out the wine, then turn off the heat. Here's the rested pork chops. What I do is cut off the bone. I shall gnaw on that like a caveman later. Then I slice up the loin. I like to pre-slice meat generally because I'm lazy, but it's also particularly good to pre-slice when you have a sauce. It creates more surface area that the sauce can coat. Toss the broccoli around in that melted butter and salt and put some on the plate. Then into the sauce, I'll pour all of the juice that came out while I rested and sliced my chops, which is a lot. Now, a little bit of mustard goes in the sauce. That tastes great, and it helps the sauce emulsify. And just like 3 little slices of nice cold butter that will melt slowly. It's crucial that you do this after the sauce has come off the boil. If it's too hot, the butter fat will separate out. Slowly melting the cold butter into that rapidly cooling sauce forms this utterly luscious emulsion. Thick, glossy, rich, instant sauce. So easy. I'll put in some pepper and some herbs. I've got some sage and thyme from my garden, classic pork bedfellows. Give it a taste. It probably won't need any additional salt, and that is good. It should look a tiny bit too thin. It will thicken as it cools. Onto the pork it goes. The chunks tend to settle on the bottom of the pan, so I'm helping them out onto the plate. Oh man, that looks good, and it's pretty good for you, too. You only need a little bit of butter to make a pan sauce thick and glossy like that. Love how the acidity of that sauce cuts through the richness of the pork. Oh, and here is why I eat this with broccoli. Those florets are really good at mopping up the excess sauce, just like you might do with a crust of bread. If you're trying to watch your carbs, broccoli might not taste like bread or rice, but it can perform the same culinary function in a dinner. That is delicious, kind of fancy stuff, and it's easy, cheap, and quick. Pan sauces are amazeballs. Deglaze with a flavorful liquid, take it off the heat, stir in some butter, do your happy dance.
Okay.